Good morning, everybody. This is Miss Day. So I wanted to talk to you about drawing the feather. So when you're approaching this feather assignment, you want to start with drawing the stem, or I think the technical word for it is rachis. And then this down here is the quill. So I'm going to have my feather right next to where I'm drawing. I'm going to start my line, and I'm going to look at my feather. And I feel like that's not quite curved enough. I'm going to draw lightly, and I'm going to follow the direction of the line. So you see how I'm mimicking that? And now I've got to come back and do the other side, and you'll notice that it's really tapered up here. It's very, very close. As it comes down, it starts to get wider. You have to keep looking at your feather, coming back, looking at your paper, look at your feather, look at your paper, look at your feather, look at your paper. So down in here is where we have this downy part of the feather. I'm just going to make sure that I draw this very lightly, because I will have to erase some of that. And the bottom of my quill actually is going to go off the page. I'll see if I can just draw the tip of it right here. Okay. And then if you want to draw the tape also, because this is an observation drawing, you would be right to do that. So I'll draw that little piece. So my suggestion is to draw the vein, which is this part, by section. And I am going to start at the very top, and I want you to notice this section right here. There's a split, so it's creating this little triangle, okay? So I'm going to compare this little triangle on my feather and come over here and try to mimic that, all right? So I'm going to say this is the line coming out, and I'll put just a few dots to kind of help me see where the vein is going. I'm going to use my pencil to line up and see what the direction of those lines are, bring it across to double check myself. And the pencil that I'm using is a 2H. So I strongly suggest that you use a 2H. You can see there's a 2H there. So a 2H is a little bit lighter than a number 2 pencil. All right, let's look at this next section here. So here's my next section. Okay. And so if I compare it, I could say, okay, so right here is where it starts. So that's about here, right? And I can see that the line comes up like this. So I can check that angle with my pencil and then come across, and I can see kind of where that needs to come up to. I can put myself a little dot to help me see where that's going to be. And then I can put some little dots here to help me guide where to draw the end of the vein. The thing is that you want the dots to be, you want them to be camouflage. You don't want to see, you don't want to see the dots. They're supposed to be really just like a little secret guide for you as you're drawing your vein. Okay, so there I'm showing the split. I'm going to check my angle. That's, I think, probably the biggest challenge here, is to make sure that you're keeping the vein going at the same angle that it is in the actual feather. Very challenging. Okay, and I'm putting the lines a little bit spread apart, and then what I'm going to do is go back and put a line in between each line. And as you can see, I'm starting right up against the stem or the rachis. So starting right up against that and pulling the lines out. And if I'm going to come back and add something on here, you need to make sure that you are adding it onto the original line. All right, so let's look at this next section. The next section is a pretty big section. So the split goes from here all the way down to here. I think I'm going to divide this up because that's a pretty large section. So I think I'm going to go from this long piece. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do the long piece first. So if I look with my pencil, kind of guide myself down where that line is, I can see where it starts and how it comes up to here. Okay, so that's right in here, and it comes up and then it curves over. Okay, and the top part of the section, you can see there's a couple of little broken pieces. So let's check our angle, bring it over, so I can see that it actually comes like this and has a little piece. And then I'm going to start with the ones that arch all the way over. Picking up right where I left off with that line. So if you have to stop, then make sure you're picking up right on the line where that you left off. Because the vein is just a single line that's coming out. And I would say that from where I'm sitting, I can see that one of them stops a little bit short. So I'm going to erase that piece right there and let it stop a little bit shorter. And I'll let these be longer. All right, then I'll do this next section here. Okay, so this section, oops, and I'm going to check my angle. Okay, and I'm going to say it starts about here, so that's going to be about here. And I feel like that's a little bit lower. Let me scoot this up. Yeah, okay, yeah. We're doing this section, it's right about there. Okay, so it's more along the lines of here. Okay, and so then this one, I can see that as I look at the vein, the lines, it comes up and it kind of has a little bit of a sway and then comes back up. And so I just did this line right here with the top of this little piece. So now I can go back in and I can do this section. I can put a few dots for myself, just a few, to show where this little edge is going to be. Because we don't want to draw a line because the line will make it flat. Okay, so then I would just draw my lines for my vein to come back up. Make sure they right next to each other, following that pattern. Make sure you check your feather every once in a while to make sure that you're representing it accurately. Okay, so now I want to jump down here to show you how to work on the downy part when you get down here to the bottom. So I would just continue like I did, just drawing section by section. When you get down here to the downy, what I want you to notice is that the downy it starts down here in the split. So this Ratchis has a split that runs down it. It starts pretty far up and it comes down. So make sure that you keep your line. This is a difficult drawing. It's supposed to be really teaching you how to observe, because most of us really do just draw what's in our mind. We don't draw the real world around us. And the key to realistic drawing is to actually observe the world around us very closely. So that's why we're doing this hard assignment. It's to teach you to observe closely and carefully. Okay, so I feel like this is a little bit that's a little better. All right, and remember this is a contour drawing, so there's no shading. Use your eraser as a drawing tool. It's a great drawing tool. All right, so down here in this, where the split is, it has a lot of lines coming out here, and they are very fluffy, okay? And what I want you to notice is that they are not straight whatsoever, very curvy, and each of these little pieces of what's the vein, right, has a little tiny barbs, fluffy barbs coming off. So please observe very closely and add those little fluffy barbs. I'm going to see if I can zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. All right. So do you see how there's like these little fluffy pieces coming off that? So that's what I want you to do, is to try to represent that in your drawing. All right, good luck everyone.